How can a saint also be a soldier? It sounds like a paradox, doesn't it? Well, today we're diving into one of the most fascinating identities out there, the Sikh Saint-Soldier. We're going to see how a life of deep, deep devotion can merge with the steel of a warrior to create something totally unique. All right, so here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll start with that central paradox, then jump into the history that made it all necessary. After that, we'll get into the Khalsa identity, check out the martial art of Gatka, which is just fascinating, and finally, see how this incredible legacy is still alive and kicking today. Okay, let's get right into it. Section 1 is all about that core idea, the saint-soldier paradox. So this is the big question, isn't it? How can a saint also be a soldier? I mean, on the surface, it feels like two totally opposite things. One's about peace and meditation, the other is about, well, readiness for battle. But, and this is the amazing part, in Sikh philosophy, they're not just compatible. They're basically two halves of the same whole. And here's the answer. The Sant-Sipahi. It's not like you're a part-time saint and a part-time soldier. It's a complete fusion. Think of it this way. The devotion of the Sant, or the saint, is the moral compass for the Sipahi, the soldier. It's one single identity. But why? Why did this even need to happen? Well, the answer isn't some high-minded philosophical debate. It was forged in the real world, out of necessity, during a time of brutal persecution. This is the why behind the sword. Okay, take a look at this. For more than 100 years, Sikhism was all about peace, equality, devotion. But then, 1606, a huge turning point. The fifth guru, Guru Arjan Dev, was martyred. And that was a brutal wake-up call. It proved that just being peaceful wasn't enough to protect the community from a tyrant. So something had to change. And it did, under the sixth guru. And this is where things get really interesting. When the next guru, Guru Har Gobind, took his place, he wore two swords. The first, Piri, represented that spiritual side that was always there. But the second sword, Miri, was new. It stood for worldly power, the right and the duty to protect your community, to defend your faith. The idea was simple but powerful. You can't have one without the other. So, with this foundation of Miri and Piri in place, the next step was to formalize it, to turn it into a collective identity for everyone. And that's exactly what the 10th guru, Guru Gobind Singh, did. So, in 1699, you get this massive, history-making event. Guru Gobind Singh creates the Khalsa. It means the pure. And this wasn't just some army. It was a spiritual brotherhood and sisterhood, a casteless order where everyone was bound by the same code and the same powerful, visible identity. And that identity is defined by 5 articles of faith, the 5 Ks. First up, you have Kesh, the uncut hair. This is all about accepting God's creation as it is. It's a symbol of humility, of being a saint. Now, to care for the Kesh, you need the Kanga, a wooden comb. But it's more than just a comb, right? It's a symbol of cleanliness, of discipline, not just for your hair, but for your mind and soul. Third is the Kara, a steel bracelet. It's a circle, no beginning, no end, just like God. Wearing it on your wrist is a constant physical reminder of your duty and a symbol of restraint. It guides your hand to do the right thing. Then there's the Kashara, a special kind of cotton undergarment. It symbolizes self-control and purity, but it's also designed for action, for being ready to move at a moment's notice. And finally, the Kirpan. Now, this is so important. It's not a weapon for attack. It's the physical embodiment of the Sant-Sipahi's duty to protect the weak and stand up for justice for anyone who's being oppressed. And if you want to see what that looks like in real life, wow, look no further than Baba Deep Singh. He's 75 years old when he hears that the holiest Sikh shrine has been attacked. So what does he do? He draws a line in the ground, makes a vow, and rides into battle. The legend is just incredible. It says that even after he was decapitated, his body kept fighting just to fulfill that vow. That is the spirit of the saint-soldier. Okay, so we have the philosophy, but how do you train for it? How do you practice it? That's where Gatka comes in. It's the physical expression of this entire faith. You see, Gatka isn't just about fighting. It's often called a prayer in emotion. The rhythmic movements are a form of meditation. It's also strictly defensive, only to be used in what's called a dharm yudh, a righteous war to protect the innocent. And, true to Sikh values, it's for everyone, men and women alike. And of course, Gatka didn't just stay the same for hundreds of years. It evolved, from something you needed to survive on a battlefield to the different forms we see practiced all over the world today. Basically, you can think of modern Gatka in three main flavors. First, you've got kale, which is the sport version you'll see in competitions. They use padded sticks, it's all about points. Then there's resmi, the more traditional style that focuses on combat applications with blunted weapons. And then you have the ahara style. This is the ancient, intense, deeply spiritual version kept alive by the Nihang warriors. It's a whole martial science called Shastra Vidya, with a huge range of weapons. All right, so that's the history, that's the philosophy. But does it still matter today? In the 21st century, where do we see this enduring spirit of the Sant-Sipahi? The answer is everywhere. You see it in the incredible bravery of the Sikh regiment and the Indian army. You see it in Gurdwaras, the Sikh places of worship, where kids learn Gatka to connect with their history. And you see it every single day in the kirpan, carried by initiated Sikhs. It's a constant personal reminder of their duty to be a protector. And really, if there's one thing to take away from all of this, it's that spirituality and strength, or compassion and courage, they aren't opposites. They're meant to work together. One fuels the other. They're complementary forces. So that leaves us with one last question to think about. The Saint-Soldier was born out of a specific time and place, for sure, but the question it poses is universal, and maybe more important now than ever. In a world that still has so much injustice, what does it really mean to be a protector?